too. And okay.
Okay.
But yeah, essentially on that one, which I will explain in a bit. We'll wait a couple more minutes, let people come on. But essentially, when you take the hydration test, like I said, it takes your weight, and then it will give a list of what your weight is allowed to be that day. And as long as you stay on that, you can cut. And if you get to a point where they're supposed to, if it gets too low, it's
Yeah.
supposed to alarm, and then they can't do it. But it
Okay.
essentially also makes it to where if I weighed 189 pounds, I wouldn't just drop to 165 tomorrow. I have
Yeah.
to show progress.
Yeah. 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 I remember in high school and watching my buddies, maybe want maybe trying to cut weight for like 2 weeks before a big match, and they would be walking around in damn garbage bags taped up, and I'm like, dudes, and I'm like, I said, y'all are way more dedicated than me. I'd rather just go run forever playing soccer than damn that shit.
Yeah, that stuff is not allowed and wouldn't allow it anyway because it's just not,
That's good.
it's dangerous. But
Heck
essentially,
yeah.
yeah, there's ways that we could do it. And I can discuss more about it once I kind of get into
Okay.
it. But
Got it.
um, as long as they're just not scarfing down a whole pizza every single day and they're paying attention to their weight and working hard at practice, there's no reason they should not make the weight they want
Make weight. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to.
I think, I think when we were, initially, I think he was at like, I think he was at like he was almost 180 when that day y'all weighed him the first day we met you guys.
Hmm?
And so, I mean, I think he's down to like 163.
Yeah.
So that's impressive for me. I mean, so I'm excited for him. I think once he starts, once he starts getting things right, I think he'll enjoy it a lot more. He goes, it
Yeah.
always hurts. And I just laugh. I go, it's gonna hurt, but I said I said always train harder than when you play.
So I'll
And
show you
he,
all kind of quickly before, because I'll have Joe cut this out of the recording, and I'll
yeah,
let him know. But I think he'll be fine. I'll just show his son. So
yeah.
essentially, this is what happens: is you'll see on it if I can zoom in. Actually, I'll just take his name out of there so that way it covers it.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so essentially, they take their height, the urine sample, specific gravity, then it just pass. But then it goes and it shows alpha weight, and then she didn't put the bottom weight in there. Let me get someone else then actually so that we'll just
Okay.
just block it off. Okay, so what it does, I'll show it on my phone that will show it.
Uh, 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 uh,
Now it
uh.
keeps wanting to blur it out.
Yeah, it wants to blur out. It's all good.
Okay, so either way, it just says alpha weight. For this
Yeah.
one, it says 121.8, 7.5% body fat, minimum weight 120 that they can drop to. And it just kind of says off of that.
Wow, that's a lot more scientific than it used to be. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, like this one says 178.2, 18.7% body fat, low minimum weight 155.8.
Wow.
So, all right. So, but we'll get started. I'll just wait in
Oh,
my hands. That way, when Joe watches this later to get the recording, he knows to start it there.
no.
But yeah, we'll be recording this. So let me get my list out really quickly and move that over to the side. Okay. So, just to kind of get everything started, for those of you that are here and also watching, my name is Coach Aaron Harlow. I've been a wrestling coach here at Coronado High School for the past 6 seasons, and I'm now the head coach over here at Coronado. I'm taking over for Joe, who's I'm going to talk about in a little bit. He's been kind of helping out a lot with our booster clubs. He was the head coach before, and he's kind of now stepping back to help out with the parent side as his kids are starting to kind of roll in. He wants to be able to be more of a parent and also take a different role that our school and most programs don't get to have. So the day-to-day operations are going to go through me. If you happen to have any questions about anything for events, paperwork, and anything you need to do, contact me. My name is Aaron Harlow. You'll see me on Parent Square You can get my information. You can also message me through that area, and I'll discuss a little bit more of that too in a little bit. But this year we should have, you'll have me that will be there at every single event that we have for boys, girls, JV. I'll kind of go over schedules a little bit and just to kind of let you know for the schedules, December is set, February is set, January is kind of a little iffy. We might change a few things and I'll explain it once we get there. Um, but once again, I'm Aaron Harlow, the head coach. Joe is the former head coach who's still going to help out. He's going to be doing more of an assistant role and showing up when he can, and but mainly going to events to kind of help out with us and also be there for his son. We're also going to have Caleb Port. He's a teacher's assistant, getting his credentials out on the school right now, and he's also kind of he's going to help us out with that. We have Amir. I work with him for the city of Tempe. He wrestled he wrestled at a college in Illinois, so he has a different background from there. And then we also have Bruce Van Scoy. He's a coach that came from Washington. He ended up having he's had a lot of experience coaching many years over there. Him and I have similar styles, but we also kind of differ on things. But the good thing about it is there's a wide variety of different coaches that your kids can learn from. So hopefully it's one of those things we can make them well-rounded and have multiple different styles to kind of help themselves out with the sport. So basically the one thing I just kind of want to say, like, it's kind of go over the chain of command. So like I said, I'm the head coach. We haven't kind of fully figured out what we're going to do for who's going to be the main assistant coaches for either boys or girls. It all is going to depend on who has the most availability, but I will be there for every single event. So I'll be the head. Communication will go through me. Any issues, concerns you have, please talk to me. Essentially, you can talk to the coaches, bring up concerns with them. But as we had today, where one of the kids goes and told one of the coaches that he had to leave early and never told me, I had to tell him, well, until you tell me, I don't really know anything that's going on. I can't really help you. And if that me as the head coach, if I don't happen to know that you're leaving early, it's one of those things to where I'm the one that takes the heat. So you need to come talk to me, make sure I take care of everything and make sure that what you're asking me is actually able to be taken care of through the school. So if there are any issues that you have, first thing I could always say is just please come to me first. You can message me privately on Parent Square. You can also come to our practices and talk to me then. Just kind of tell me you just need to talk to me on the side and bring the concerns that you have to me in private, so that way I can deal with them if they're anything concerning, if just that way. It's also because we have a lot of kids, they like to be distracting, so always pull me aside, just that way we can have the conversation, be candid, and then we can kind of go from there. And then obviously if you happen to have any issues, if you have something that comes up to me, if I can't resolve it, obviously the next in line is go to Rob, our athletic director. But essentially, if you go to him directly first, he's probably going to end up bugging me and say, hey, what's going on? Can you deal with it? So always come and bring your issues to me first. Then if it's something I can't handle, we'll talk and discuss. And then we go to Rob, and then we go to the administration staff after that. But I should most likely be able to handle most things. I just know that he's already going to push you in my direction anyway. So with that being said, like I said, we're going to have a good, well-rounded coaching staff. We have a lot of coaches that want to help out, and we should be able to give the boys and the girls the needed attention that they need separately. So that way they can both, one, not distract each other, and also develop the ways that they can, being the fact that they're both different, as boys learn differently and girls learn differently. And also they wrestle differently. So want to give them the best opportunities that they can. And then if you guys happen to have any questions, I'm just going to say it now, just kind of either put them in the chat or just kind of save them to the end. I'll try to get through something. If it's very dire, just kind of let me know and we can ask, or you can ask a question, but save it to end. We'll kind of end the recording and I can answer all your questions as much as needed. But I just want to say that I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible for it. So one of the things we're going to have is our first competition is in less than 3 weeks. It's going to be it's going to be the 26th of November. It's a Tuesday. In order to dress for that event, so in order to hand out uniforms, the way that they say it is your kid can go to the event, but they can't get a uniform, but a uniform is required. You have to pay your student fees. Student fees are because we are being classified as Title One, they've agreed to pretty much make this fees only $25 this year. So make sure you get those taken care of before the 26th. They will be required that they will be checking on them, and they will make sure that we do everything possible that we can to take care of that. So again, get those student fees taken care of. With that also being said, if you happen to have any nieces, nephews, friends, or anyone that you know that has kids that are going to school, try and talk to them, get them to kind of join. We have a good sized team right now, but I would always like more. I'm trying to grow the girls team as much as possible because a little bit of information I've heard. I've been trying to fight for the school to kind of recognize our girls wrestling team, and they keep kind of saying that we don't have the numbers. So the closer I get to 10 girls on the team, the more I can go over there and essentially tell them do what we want, or Title IX, we're going to sue you. And essentially it's just because I'm trying to get them recognized and get them as much as the girls deserve, and as much as they honestly really do, being the only girls team in the school. And I want to help them out as much as possible, but also get the resources available so that way it doesn't be a hindrance on the boys too, to keep them around. I want them to both be full teams that are taken care of separately and fully by the school. So with that being said, one of the ways sorry, something, oh, I must have got an email, sorry. With that being said, one of the things I want to say is if you happen to want to communicate with me other than in person, message me on Parent Square, or have your kids message me on Student View. One of the things I'm going to require is if your kids, let's say we have an event coming up next week, if your kid doesn't show up to practice and I don't know, I'm just going to tell them, cool, you don't get to compete. Because part of the rules are, one, we have to be at the practice before an event. That is one of the AIA rules, but also it's kind of one of those things. It's not fair to the kids that are being out there working hard, pushing themselves, and getting this and putting in all the work when someone just shows up and ends up getting the main varsity spot or whatever they want. It's just not really fair to them. So I want kids to participate. I want them to communicate with me. I know we have a lot of kids that are in other activities. Some are in band, some happen to be in choir, some happen to be in Tessa's training. I'm blanking on what it's called right now, but their medical program. So as long as they communicate with me, I'm fine with it. If your son or daughter happens to take a test, tell them to get on Student Square or Student View, message me that they're going to be late. I'll have no issue. I've had a few that have done it this week, told me that they're sick or that they've been taking tests. And as long as they tell me, I'm perfectly fine with that. The only thing I would that I'm going to look for is I'm going to start, if they happen to go to a class and take a test and do tutoring, remind your kids that I want them to have a note that they're in class, because we do happen to have, they are kids, and we know that they will, if they have the opportunity, they'll always try to find a way to kind of have fun and not necessarily do things all the time. So sometimes we've had some kids that will say they went to tutoring and realistically they're just hanging out with their friends and just trying to get out of practice. So to make sure we keep track of them, make sure that they get a letter from their teacher marking the time that they were there and marking the time that they left, and that their name is on it, and then they can hand it to me. All I'm gonna do is look at it, verify it, and then just pretty much throw it away. But have them communicate with me through that. If you have anything, communicate with me there too. I have the app on my phone, so I get your notifications usually whenever I look at it, and I can pretty much answer most of your questions right away or whenever I happen to mention it. I've only had a few times where it's glitched and I haven't been able to have that and have it taken care of. So again, just communicate with me through Parent Square. I'll post as much information as need. I know it gets annoying, but I want to have everyone informed as much as possible so we can take care of that. Team rules, a couple things I want to go over. Uniform stuff. So I want to make sure that for all the kids that are in the room, it is kind of a sport where we're going to be moving around a lot. We're going to be grabbing onto things all the time. I want to make sure that they're properly dressed. That way we don't happen to have any wardrobe issues or happen to have any injuries from stuff that happens. So one of the things I'm going to say for uniforms is I want them to wear shirts that obviously cover as close to their neck as possible. That has sleeves on it. I don't want to have short sleeves. I want to have it, or like cut off sleeves. I want to have short sleeves or long sleeves, anything that's there. Shorts, as long as they aren't super baggy and loose and don't have any zippers or anything like that. and athletic pants. So as long as their clothes are like cotton or athletic style, I'm perfectly fine with that. Just want to make sure that their pants are tied properly, secured, their shirts are tucked in, and that their shirts don't happen to have any holes in them, because worst thing that can happen is your kid is just practicing, someone gets their finger caught, rips their shirt, and then all of a sudden they have no shirt and and everything's torn up, and we don't want to have that happen. So if you can go and get them a few athletic shirts, some athletic shorts, and take care of that for them. Also, along with that, make sure they're washing their clothes every day. We haven't had really any issues since I've been here. Usually, we're very, very on them about keeping good hygiene. It's one of those things we sweat a lot, and because we're in a contained room and not necessarily outside like for football and baseball and stuff like that, skin issues can spread to where you can get ringworm and vitiligo. We haven't really had any issues at this school in the 6 years I've been there. And I would like to keep it that way. It's one of those things to where one day where they get one of those issues, if they'll do skin checks, they have to see anything that seems like it could be contagious. Your kid won't be get to wrestle that event until, or wrestle in that event, or wrestle at any event until they get a doctor's note. So we want to prevent that. So make sure they're bathed every day, they're washing their clothes, they're having brand new clean clothes every day, and they're taking care of their things. If their shoes are sweaty, make sure they air them out, make sure they're taken care of, and they have good proper hygiene from there. Game uniforms, pretty much what we're going to do is, in order and to wrestle, some of the things that are going to be needed is we're going to give them their headgear, we're going to give them their singlets, and we're going to give them some warm-ups. It is required that they have their own wrestling shoes, which I can kind of explain where to get those in a bit. And then also, main thing that we want to kind of get on is if they have braces, that they have to have a mouthpiece. If they have braces on top and bottom, they have to get a mouthpiece that does cover from mouth, top and bottom, and has like a little breathe hole in it. Joe, his son, happens to have braces, although I think they're going to be coming off soon. So you can always talk to him. He happens to know where to get them and everything like that. He knows where to purchase them, kind of the best ones to get. But make sure to get your kids a mouthpiece. If they have braces, we have a handful of them on the team. And it's mainly to protect them, so that way you don't end up, they don't bust a bracket and then you have to go and pay for all that to be fixed. We want to be able to take care of them, let them be able to wrestle comfortably and safely. Like I said, for wrestling shoes with the sport getting more popular, also their shoes are getting a little bit more expensive and more popular. So there are some very expensive shoes, expensive brands, especially like I said, with all the notoriety at the beginning from the UFC and the Olympics. There are some expensive one out there. If you want to go and get some expensive shoes, go at it. Have as much fun as you want. There's a number of different brands, from Nike to Rudis to Asics to Adidas. If you want my opinion, I can always give you the best options that I believe that work out the best. But in all honesty, I would say if you wanted to get your kids' shoes immediately, the cheapest and best place to get them right away would be Big Five. There's one down the street, not far from our school, which is, I believe, off of Hayden and just between, what is it? Is it Camelback and Thomas, I believe? It's not too far from our school. It's about maybe 2 miles away. You can get some there. Honestly, the best way I would say is, if you're willing to, there's an app on your phone. It's called Mercari, Mercari. It's kind of like an OfferUp, or it's like a Craigslist, but for your phone. It goes nationwide, and you can go there, type things up. You can look stuff up. Like, if your kid's shoe size is size 6, just type in size 6 wrestling shoes, and it will pop up a bunch of different brands. I happen to, if I could see, I'll see if I could show it, but I happen to get a brand new pair just like this, as it wants to zoom in, zoom out. But I got this brand new nice pair only about 6 months ago for 45 bucks. They're $160 shoes that I got off that app of Mercari. So obviously that's more than 3 times cheaper the price, and 45 bucks is really not that expensive to buy shoes. The only difference is it had just like a nick. This one just had a nick on the front, which I just took some shoe repair stuff, and it took care of it. But I've also ordered other pairs from there before too, as low as $25, and it ends up being a very handy site. So it's definitely something to look into. Again, if you have any questions for uniforms, just talk to me, and I can tell you where to get shoes and take care of that. The other thing is, in order for your kids to wrestle, is they have to have good grades. The school requires that they have no Fs and they have to have a 2.0. So if your kid has 3 Bs and 3 Ds, technically they're eligible to wrestle. My idea and what I always say for grades, because one of the things that we found out in going to school is it's virtually impossible for your kids to fail at Coronado. There might be a few classes, but it's almost impossible for your kids to fail at Coronado if they turn in every single homework assignment. So one of the things I'm going to look at is, I get it. Your kids get busy with activities and they can't always pass all their classes, but they can turn in all their homework. And that's something easily they can do and we can easily monitor. So our requirements are they will do every single homework assignment they possibly can. They will turn it in and there will be 0 missing assignments. If they do miss any assignments, they get rewarded with doing extra push-ups per every missing assignment they have. And if it keeps becoming an issue, we just increase the number. So the good news is if your kids are not turning in their homework assignments, they will be in impeccable shape. But either way, I want to make sure they'll have good grades. We're going to be checking them starting next week and at probably every Monday after that to make sure they have good grades. I want all their homework assignments turned in. Please get on your kids to make sure that they turn in all their homework assignments.
I have a question.
Yes.
So just out of curiosity, because sometimes you guys leave early for away duels, is there some kind of time frame, like if they have a missing assignment due to missing school for a school activity?
I'm actually happy you brought that up because we always forget to talk about that in a parent meeting. So if we happen to have events, your kids need to be responsible and communicate with their parents. So if let's say we do have an event, like I said, on the 26th of November, which is a Tuesday, which will be about 2.5 weeks from now. So what your kids can do is we give them an event schedule. They go to their teachers and they show them these are the events that we have. And then what they're supposed to do is not necessarily telling them now, but at least kind of go and say, let's say if it's on the 26th, so the 21st or the 20th, so about a week or so before the event, talk to their teachers, let them know, hey, I have this event that's happening this day. Are there any assignments that are going to be happening on that day that I need to take care of or you need to know? And communicate with their teachers. Can I turn in stuff the day after? Can I turn in stuff early? What do you want me to do for that point and do that? They may have some tests that they need to do. As long as they communicate with their teachers, the teachers will make reasonable accommodations and usually give them extensions to turn in their homework because they can't necessarily punish the kids for going to an event. So they have to give them a reasonable amount of time to take care of their assignments and get that all turned in.
No, for sure, for sure. I was just more asking, like you were talking about you checking for missing assignments, like if they have missing assignments due to an NH, because I mean, we would love for the teachers to give them the work in advance, but a lot of times it's classwork and the teachers won't let them make it up until after the fact. So I was just more asking if they do have missing assignments due to an excused absence, whether it's a school activity or whatnot, I mean, do you take that into consideration?
We do, and there's ways to kind of check it. I think they on the app on their profile it will say when the assignment was assigned. They're supposed to mark it as an excused missing assignment. Now, do teachers do that all the time? No. And it's one of those things to where I'm not gonna we've done it before where I'll look and I know that we have an event on the 26th, and if I see they're missing 5 assignments and 2 were issued on the 25th and then 3 were issued on the 26th, I'm not gonna obviously get on them for the events on the 26th, but the 25th they had no excuse. Those assignments obviously should have been turned in. So it's one of those things to where as long as they communicate with their teachers and communicate with me and all the other coaches, we should have no issues and they should be having ample time to get their assignments in. But like I said, if they have something on the 25th or the 24th that's due, we're going to get on them for those assignments and say you should be turning those in on time, turning them in early, and we don't want to essentially have any late assignments and make sure everything's taken care of on that. That kind of answer all your questions?
Yes, thank you.
All right, perfect. No problem. So the other thing I want to kind of get into, these will kind of all mend together, but one of the things that we've been doing is, like I said, Joe kind of helped us form a booster club. We're one of the only few booster clubs in the school. The way booster club works is we will always have, so you have the school fund where the school provides funding for the sport, which is only a certain amount that they get, where they got to kind of split it between all the sports. Then you have the club fund. Club fund is what the kids do. It's their club. They get to create the fundraisers. They get to kind of work together, and they can take the money. And that's essentially their idea. Where if they wanted to buy things, it gets approved. They get to do stuff for their club, and they get to make it happen. Booster Club is the parent side, where the parents get together. You help us fundraise, and you get to help decide what we want to buy. So one of the things of me being a coach is I don't necessarily get a say, but I get to ask all you parents for things that you want. So if it's something to where you don't like the uniforms or what I make the kids wear to events, the parents can get together and you can fundraise and you can get uniforms for the kids and essentially take care of things however you want that way. It's one of the ways to give parents the power to kind of help out and do what they can. We do happen to have we have a president who's a former wrestler. We have a secretary, which I think is Joe's wife. Renee, I believe, is also on the board, honors Booster Club board. So we have a few board members, but we would still like people to join the Booster Club and kind of help out. It can just be as much as just giving us ideas. It could be as much as donating, and also just kind of helping us out in any ways that we can. We're trying to get a Booster Club that will help us take care of the needs that we have for this season and also stuff that we have for the future. So that way we don't happen to have things that we can't do. Like right now, we will be going to tournaments that will get figured out. But as of right now, we had a fund to pay for some of our tournaments that we had for all of December. Found out it was the wrong budget. And then I went to our administration to ask them what the budget is. And they said, we don't know yet. So they're trying to figure out what budget we're able to pull from our events. Well, one of the good things is if you parents wanted to send the kids to a certain tournament, maybe a tournament in Tucson or California, or maybe just a tournament to where we wanted to give them an extra event to go to, we can use that money to fundraise for them and we can go to it. And realistically, it's one of the things we want to do, because if we go through the kids, we obviously have to, or the kids club or the sport or the sports program or school, there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of hoops we got to go through, where with the Booster Club, it's not very much paperwork and it makes things so much easier. So a couple things that Joe ended up kind of giving to me. If you end up wanting to be a part of the Booster Club, you can contact Joe, Renee, or anyone that happens to be in the Booster Club, or you can just message at, actually, I can kind of share this window and I can go from there with, let me see if I can find it really quick. Share screen. Oh, it's disabled. Never mind. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to just listen to me on what I'm saying. Joe happens to be in another meeting, so I'm unable to share. But the email is cwrestlingboosters@gmail.com. So to repeat that, it is cwrestlingboosters@gmail.com. I will post some of this information on Parent Square tonight or sometime this weekend to get all the information out to you. And if you want to join, again, message them on that. We will be having our next Booster Club meeting via Zoom. So you can do it from your phones or at home. You don't have to go and meet up and have any issues with that. Next meeting will be November the 18th at 7 p.m. Again, I would encourage all you parents to come and help out, because we do have a few more fundraisers we're going to do throughout the year. We want to get as much money as we possibly can to help out these kids, because as you probably know from how the economy's been and also where the school is, we're not necessarily having the most amount of money, and we want to be able to make sure we can take care of the kids and give them the best opportunities possible. It's not on his list, but one of the things I'll just spend a minute to kind of go over some of the things that we've done. If any of you have walked into the wrestling room, we're going to get a container for it, but you'll notice that we happen to have some snacks on the side. We have had in the past where we've had kids that will show up and all of a sudden they start getting lightheaded, and we couldn't figure out why until we started asking questions and finding out that they were malnourished, weren't eating at home because their parents were getting paid until the end of the week, or they happen to have issues with being able to eat food when they're not in the wrestling room. Now we know that they get free breakfast and lunch, so encourage your kids to eat while they're at school. But we also are doing that to kind of have snacks, that way they can have things covered. We had it one time where we went to a tournament a couple of years ago, and one athlete came walking up to me and was saying that he didn't want to go to the event because he didn't know if he could. And when I asked him why, he was saying because he didn't happen to have anything to eat during the day and he didn't want to be able to pass out because he had nothing to eat. So I talked to all the athletes that night and told them all to try and bring something, and everyone brought in some snacks, and he was able to compete that day and participate and was taken care of. And one of the things is, with all the parents, want to make sure we take care of all the kids that may be in that need and give them best opportunity to compete, be taken care of, have all the hydration, have all the food that they need to take care of themselves and be able to compete, so that way they can do the best that they possibly can without having to worry about what they're going to eat the next day. I understand that we happen to have we're a Title I school, but if we all bond together, we can make sure that every kid is taken care of and every kid has the opportunity to have a chance to succeed this season. So a couple fundraisers. We've already done a few so far. We cut last week. We ended up doing a trunk or treat event. I think we ended up making a few $100s from that. We also did a Chipotle fundraiser on election day. I was only there for an hour, but it looked like we were getting a good amount of business going from that point on. We also, tomorrow and this weekend, Saturday, we are running concession stands for the girls volleyball state championships. If you would like to help out or even just donate some items, again, contact our booster club with cwrestlingboosters@gmail.com. We'll always gladly take some, but there's also some things on restrictions we're not allowed to have, so it would be best to contact them. We would love to have as many volunteers for Saturday as possible, but if it's something you can't get to, don't worry about it. But still would like you guys to contact Joe to help him out with that, and everyone else in the crew. We are also selling chocolates. So I got a message today from the athletic director and was reminded, we are doing this through the Booster Club, and we would have to do proper paperwork to sell any type of food items on campus. We're also not allowed to sell any things on or pretty much at school. So essentially what we're doing is we have boxes of chocolates. We're asking you parents to at least try and take one. If you can, bring it to work and sell it. I have a box at work where I've been left it out. I think I've almost sold 2 boxes just by leaving it out every day when I'm at work and going around checking buildings. People have been buying those and everything. So I'm making money off of people from work for the Booster Club and for everything like that. So we're going to ask that you parents can, if you can, get a box to do that yourselves. And you can contact at cwrestlingboosters@gmail.com and go for that way. Best thing we pretty much said was your kids are not supposed to sell chocolates at school. We also set it up through the Booster Club, so that way if the kids are selling chocolates at school, it doesn't fall on the wrestling team. It goes to the Booster Club of how they get in trouble. If your kids are going to sell chocolate at school, they're allowed to sell before and after school. But essentially the way I'll say it is, if they're going to sell them on campus, make it secret. That way no one sees it. If they're out here flaunting around to the whole school and everyone sees, you're going to get a complaint like we got today when one of the kids happened to be flaunting everything in front. It's just keep it secret. Don't let everyone know and just do it that way. But we plan to give everyone Joe plans to give all the kids a box at least this week to sell over the weekend, go around the neighborhoods and do it the best they can, then bring them back, and we'll try and sell those. If we sell every single box, it should give us, I think, because we think we got 60 boxes, should give us around $1,800, which could do a lot to help fund our kids and help them out with things. Other fundraiser we have a GoFundMe that we're doing. It's just, if you can, and it's on our, I posted it a couple times on Parent Square. I can do it a few more times if needed. All you gotta do is just send it up to your friends, send it up to family, just say if they can donate a few bucks to do that. I think we already have a couple $100 right now. We haven't really fully advertised it much, but we wanted to get it out there just to see if anyone would like to help support our team. The more we get, the better we can. And then another thing that we're going to do is we're doing a pre-sale for our shirts that we have. I have posted what they look like on Parent Square, and I've also kind of shown them around a little bit. Unfortunately, I can't show them at this moment because I can't share on this screen for this event. But we have shirts for girls and boys. Boys will be red and it will say Coronado Wrestling with a big C in it. Girls will be pink and black, and it will be pink letters, says the same thing, but it also says in silver girls right here on the side, and it's in cursive, and they seem to like it. We will also have sweaters that will be black with red letters, and then we'll also have Coronado Wrestling sweaters that are black with pink letters. And then we also have shorts and sweats. If it's something that you would like to order some, as of right now, the pre-sale, like for example, t-shirts will be sold for $25. If anyone would like to buy them for $25, it's great. Anyone that's in this parent meeting, we wanted to, because we're trying to get parents to kind of hear all this information to kind of help them out, and also so that way we can get the information out to everyone. If you just use the code Coach Joe for if you happen to go through Booster Clubs, or if you go through our pre-sale forms when you scan it, if you just type in Coach Joe, we'll give it to you for the pretty much at cost price. So essentially it'll be $10 off shirts and sweatshirts, and it'll be $5 off of sweats and sweatshirts or sweatpants. So I think the shirts were listed at $25. You'd be only paying $15 for shirt. And I like them. They look really nice. So I know a lot of you parents would like to get them, and I would like, honestly, all the parents possible to get a couple of those, because I would like us to represent and support the kids whenever we go to events, and let the parents see those bright red shirts or those bright pink shirts supporting our boys and girls this season. I'll be posting all the information that Joe gave to me for that, so we can order all the stuff. Unfortunately, I've had a busy week and haven't been able to kind of get a little bit more organized to get all this information out, but we will be getting everything going this weekend while we have the holiday weekend to take care of it. The last thing I'm going to mention for fundraising is, and I will definitely be pushing this across for all the parents, is we have a tax credit program for the school. The state of Arizona passed a law that said that each adult each adult is allowed to get up to $200 tax creditable funding to the school or a school program. And for couples, it's $400 per couple. So the way that it works is, so if I were to tomorrow give $200 to the school and say this is for the Coronado Wrestling program, my $200 would go from my hand to the school's hand, where they would put it in the wrestling program's funding. So we would get $200 from my wallet into the wrestling program's wallet. Then when I do my taxes next year before April, I will be credited back that money. So if I happen to owe, if I owe $150, I will get credited $200. I'll get $50 back on my taxes. Or simpler, if I owe no money, I'll get my $200 back. So essentially, it's a short-term loan of where you get 100% of your money back once you do your taxes. So if you happen to owe anything, it will be deducted from there. And if they happen to owe you, you'll get your money right back. So the reason I want to bring that up is because I get it. Not everyone has the best finances, especially with how the economy's done. Plus, we have a lot of parents that are working multiple jobs. But again, this is one of the things where it's the easiest way for us to get funding to take care of the kids, where we can take them maybe to an ASU event at the end of the year, or we can use it to happen to go to some trip or some camps or something like that in the future. And the best way I say is if we got 10 parents that gave $200 in their tax credits, that would give us around $2,000 for the entire wrestling program off of just 2 parents. And if those same 10 kids had both their parents give, that'd be $4,000 that we would have just off of that alone, and all the money would go right back to you. So honestly, it's the best thing I would say that we can do, and I'm going to definitely push that this year to make sure we all take care of that and we do the best we can, because to do that, because like I said, we can go out and do fundraising. We got to spend a lot of time to do that. We got to sell chocolates. We got to do all the work to do that. This is just pay it forward, wait a couple months, do your taxes, and the money goes right back to you. And then the last few things I want to kind of go over with this, and then I'll take some questions from you if you have any. And again, if you happen to have any questions that you don't answer or have today, please just message me and I can kind of go over those. You might have a question like we had earlier where it's something that I want to relay to everyone, let everyone know. But for now, just kind of for the practice or for our schedules that we have, our practices will be from 3 to 5:30. Your kids are supposed to be in the wrestling room dressed and have the wrestling room ready to start practice exactly at 3. If they are missing multiple assignments, or if they happen to have a D or an F, even just one, we are going to be making, starting next week, mandatory tutoring. We will put chairs and everything like that out front of our wrestling room. Joe said he would gladly help them out with doing their homework and getting assignments done. And we will make it mandatory. They will do that until 4 o'clock. So they will be going directly to the front of our wrestling room, taking care of that, unless they meet with a teacher and get everything taken care of. But again, they have to communicate that with me because we will get their grades up. We will have good grades. Everyone will be able to compete, and we will not have we won't be having kids that are ineligible. That's something that is unacceptable in my mind and something that I don't think is acceptable for any new parents. So I want to make sure everyone gets their grades taken care of. So essentially, like I said, they will get an hour and a half of mandatory study hall before every practice until they get that D into a C, or until I start seeing that they have less than 5 missing assignments throughout all their classes. So we will make sure that we are on the ball and on the money of making sure they are ready to participate at our events. Okay, and then I'll just kind of quickly go over our schedule. I've posted it, and I know some events have moved around and changed a bit, but I will kind of go over it verbally here, and then I will take any questions that you have after this. But our first event will be Tuesday, November 26th. We will be going to Glendale. We'll be going against Glendale, Centennial, and Independence. From what I looked from last year, all 3 teams had a full varsity, half to a full girls team, and then also a few JV wrestlers. So this is one of those events that I'm very confident that when we go to, every kid should have an opportunity to wrestle and every kid should have an opportunity to participate. It's an early event that we scheduled, and I've scheduled it this way on purpose. All these teams are in Division 2. We're in Division 4. We're not in the same division. So they're essentially never going to see these kids unless they go to tournaments. The purpose of this is just to get them some early experience, get them some early matches so we can get the jitters out of the way and kind of get with the rest of the regular season. A lot of them will be very nervous on their first event. They kind of won't know what to expect. So I'd like to get that out of there. And what's a better event than going to a school where we can have every single one of them get a wrestling match in and get it taken care of before we get to the next 2 weeks that are very busy. So the first week, we have 2 weeks in December that are going to be pretty busy. On December the 3rd, which I believe is a Tuesday, we have a girls' jamboree, which will be at Moon Valley High School. It's an event where a bunch of schools show up. We go there. It starts at 4. They're going to call the weight classes. They'll organize the girls together. They'll separate them, have them wrestle each other, and then they'll call them out. They usually get around 3 to 5 matches per day. So there's plenty of opportunities for your girls to participate in that event. The very next day, we're going to be going to ALA Mesa North. I will have to confirm with them, but I remember seeing a post that ALA Mesa is a new school and they're only having freshmen, sophomores this year. So they're doing a JV for that event. I talked to the Benjamin Franklin coach back in, I think, July or August, and he agreed that we're going to both just send our JV wrestlers there. So essentially anyone who's not a varsity wrestler will be going to that dual event to get some experience to wrestle there and have some matches at ALA Mesa North. And that will be on the 4th, which is a Wednesday. Then we have that weekend, we have on the 6th and 7th, we'll be at Eastmark for the boys and girls for a varsity tournament. We will be leaving from the school early that Friday. We'll go to the tournament. We'll compete that day. And then anyone that makes it to the next day will be continuing on for the 7th. Also on the 7th, again, same thing I'm going to do. Just to kind of give them all experience is for that, we have a JV tournament at Paradise Valley. Unless we have too many kids in one weight class, and I'll talk to coach and confirm once we get closer to the event for what we'll do. But essentially everyone that's not a senior will probably be going to that to give them some experience. So that way they can get some kids that are around their age and around their level, so we can kind of get them to develop a little bit sooner. The very next week, it gets a little bit tougher, and we're going to have again another girls' jamboree on that will be at Cactus High School. It'll be December the 10th. The very next day, December the 11th, we will have our first home meet for the boys. That will be against Phoenix Christian, Moon Valley, and Fountain Hills. I believe Moon Valley has a full girls team. Phoenix Christian may have a handful of girls, and Fountain Hill also may have a handful of girls. So it might be an event that we're going to have both boys, varsity, and JV, and girls competing at that event. Either way, we will want all the girls there to help out, and just in case, because it's one of our home events and it's one of the events that we can sell concessions at and make money off of, and it gives us an opportunity to showcase in front of everyone all these against these schools. It should be a good event with a bunch of schools that are kind of at our level, and not with also some tough competition to test them and see how well they are. And with that being said, that weekend, the 13th and 14th, will be at Skyline High School. This is going to be for boys and girls around a 32-man bracket, and it is a tough tournament. I scheduled it this way because I want to be able to give the kid, after having a bunch of matches really get developed, this will be varsity only tournament for boys and girls. This is a tournament to test them, to kind of give them some tough competition, to kind of see where they're at. Because right after we have this tournament, our next event will not be until the 8th. So it goes from December 14th until the 8th. We're going to have a pretty much interesting schedule as we go, as once we get into that tournament, next week is finals, then we get into the week of Christmas, which is in the dead middle of the week on a Wednesday. Then we go to New Year's, which again is dead middle of the week. And I already know that practice is going to be a little bit difficult on that time, because every one of you are going to want to spend time with family. And I also understand on the pretty much the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th are going to be days that I'm not going to even try to schedule, because we're just not going to see your kids there. Look for the schedule on that. I can also kind of answer questions out of the winter break schedule from after we do all this. But essentially, I'll be posting everything, and I'll be communicating with all the kids a little bit more once we get to December, because I want to kind of see what kids are coming. So our first event after that, depending on how many girls we have, we could go to a tournament on January 4th, but I'm most likely going to cancel unless unless I'm able to add that to the budget. If the school is going to cover it, then I'll just do a tournament on January 4th, which will be at Barry Goldwater. If we have to fund it through the booster clubs, then we will discuss with the booster clubs if that's something we want to do, and if the girls will actually attend. So as for right now, we're going to just say no to that event. So then our next event would be January the 8th, which will be at Blue Ridge, which is a far drive. The school does have a charter bus for us, so don't worry. We're not going to be driving those terrible short buses that they have. We're going to be getting a charter, so it should be a lot safer and taken care of there. If you don't know where Blue Ridge is, it's over by Sholo. It's very far. It's a bit far, so it's going to be one of those days where we might be asking parents for a little bit of help of just kind of doing whatever we can to make sure we take care of the kids and everything like that. On the 10th and 11th, I believe, I only put the 10th on my calendar, but I can look it up later. But essentially the weekend of the 10th, we also have another tough tournament, which is a Peoria Invitational. It'll be a tournament at Peoria. This is a tournament that will have, again, 30 or more plus teams, a couple teams from out of state, and a lot of teams that are ranked high in the top 10 of each division of the state. This is another tournament I want to give them to get to, again, test the girls, test the boys, give them an opportunity to wrestle against the best. And also it's a chance to kind of say we're a month away from sectionals and give them an idea of what they need to do in the last month to get them ready to go to sectionals that will hopefully get them to go qualify for states. The very next week, I'm trying to recruit more girls. If we can get around, right now we're currently at 6, maybe 7 girls. If we can get that number closer to 9 or 10, we will be hosting our first ever girls wrestling dual meet. It will be at Coronado on the 13th. So I'm hoping that we can get more girls, because I want to make this a fun event. We're going to be inviting other schools that have full teams, and we will make this a big spectacle, because one, it would be essentially a historic event for the city of Scottsdale, as it would be the first event that we've ever done for girls wrestling in the whole entire city. We currently have the largest team in the city, and I want to have the only full girls varsity or girls wrestling team in the city, and that's one of my goals I want to do. The very next day, we'd have a jamboree for the girls, which would be at Benjamin Franklin that day, which would be January the 14th. We have another event January 15th, which was scheduled for Globe. I am talking to Rob. As of right now, we're going to Globe. That's probably going to get canceled, and we probably will be rescheduling that. So again, like I said, January tournament or events may change around, but I will most likely, if we cancel that, schedule one within the county a lot closer, so the drive is not that bad. And then getting close to almost done with the schedule, just wanted to kind of go over with everyone. January, the weekend of January the 17th, we're going to go back to the Verado tournament. I'm hoping it gets run a little bit better this year. I'm not gonna lie, last year it was run really annoying and it really wasn't that fun. But with our budget, it's one of the few tournaments we get to take varsity, JV, and girls to one event. And for the price of the tournament, it kind of makes it to where we really can't say no to going this. So we're gonna be going to the Verado tournament the weekend of the 17th. January 21st is senior day for the boys. We will be having San Carlos, Miami, Saguaro, and San Miguel San Miguel or Manuel will be there. So it should be a good event. Again, like I said, we'll have Saguaro there. We're going to make it a big event. I'm going to have us wrestle Saguaro last. I'm going to try and get everyone out of the room so then when we get to this to our last match, it'll be just us, Saguaro, and we can have a good little friendly rivalry between the two schools that are near each other. I expect us to destroy Saguaro, and I expect us to go and pretty much show them that we're one of the best teams in Scottsdale for boys. Most likely, we will not have any girls matches for that event, but I will talk to other schools and see what we can do if needed. But if not, I would like the girls to help out for that event. As for girls, though, the very next day, we're going to do another event. We're going to go to Shadow Mountain for a duel. We're going to go against Shadow Mountain, Mesquite, and Cortez. These teams were in our section last year. Mesquite's a very tough team, but they also have a full varsity and girls team. Cortez is more closer to what we're going to be. They're a tough team, but they also have a full varsity and girls team. Shadow Mountain is, from what I've heard, they're getting close to a full varsity team and probably the same amount of girls we have, so they're very similar to us. So this event will be taking the boys varsity and girls to that event. And then we will have the 24th will be the Anthony Robles tournament for girls only, which is a Friday. We've done that for every year and the girls seem to like it. The next day will be JV only, January 25th, Mesa tournament there. On the January the 28th, we'll be going to Payson with Valley Christian for another dual meet. If the funds persist and if we get the funding for it and if the school will pay for it, we may be returning to the ACP or Arizona College Prep Tournament January 31st and February 1st. As of right now, I'm scratching it to go to the other tournaments. And then our final dual event for the boys will be February 5th at Paradise Valley against Benjamin Franklin and Desert Sunrise. And that should be a good fun event right before we get to the end of sectionals that week or right before we get to sectionals. So that will be our final event for the boys team that Saturday. We have girls sectionals, which will be at Moon Valley. That's the tournament to where the top four girls will end up going to states, which will be wrestled at the state fairgrounds later in February, which I'll say in a bit. The very next weekend, the 15th, will be boys sectionals. That will be at Payson. I believe we have a charter bus to take the boys to that event. It's a little bit of a drive, but should be a good event. And I expect a good number of boys to place in the top four and go to states the following weekend. Since they moved our boys to Division 4, we are no longer states is a 3-day event, but they do Division 4 only Friday and Saturday. So we will not be going there Thursday. We said both boys and girls will wrestle the 21st and the 24th at the Veterans Memorial Arena at the state fairgrounds. With all that said, I know I kind of went a little long-winded on the schedule, but I kind of wanted to explain things for everybody and kind of go from there. I'll take questions in a bit, but I just wanted to kind of end with, we do have a good group of kids in the room. We have a lot of seniors on the boys, and also we have a good we have a good group of girls to where we have a lot of juniors on the team and some sophomores. So it's something to where I expect to grow that team and get some more. But in all honesty, I've said it to the boys and I've said it to girls. I've looked at everything, and honestly, if we can get 14 boys and 12 girls filling every roster spot or every weight class. There is a very, very, very strong possibility the boys and girls could place in the top 10 of state. Boys, I've looked at it, and one of the teams, Phoenix Christian, we went to a tournament last year where I took half of a team, and most of the kids, it was their first ever wrestling event. We were 1 point behind Phoenix Christian, and they took 7th in Division 4 last year. If I brought a full team, we would have placed higher than Phoenix Christian, and I expect us to do that. So, in all honesty, if our kids put in the hard work, if they have good positive attitudes, I could see our boys placing top 10, realistically put top 7 or top 5. Girls might be a little bit difficult. I think they can get to top 10. Realistically, they can get top 20. Essentially, girls, they split the whole state in half. So half the schools are in Division 1, half the schools are in Division 2. So their state ends up having around maybe like 100 schools representing it. So a little bit tougher, but like I said, we could be in the top 20 of the entire of all those schools if we can get more girls to turn out. So again, like I said, I'm very positive we can have a good season this year. The kids seem to have a good attitude, and they seem to be working hard. And it's one of those things I ask that all you parents will kind of encourage them, help them out, make sure they're well fed, and hopefully you don't feed them a bunch of junk food, but feed them good, healthy meals so they can be fueled up and ready to go. But other than that, I'm excited for the wrestling season. I'm excited for what's to come. And I look forward to adding more pictures of kids that go to states and place on our wall of champions. So with that said, if you happen to have any questions, I can take those right now. And I will also be posting this video on YouTube if you happen to miss anything. And then also posting a couple other things on Parent Square to kind of give you all details for that.